Hello, you are viewing a video being created by the North Reading High School Guidance Department. This video is a tutorial for students and families. In this video, we will be going over the process for requesting a letter of recommendation from your guidance counselor. The process to request a letter of recommendation from your guidance counselor does differ from the process for requesting a letter from a teacher, so we wanted to create a separate video to help with this. Speaking of videos, please keep in mind that there are other tutorial videos that we have created. One does go through how to request a letter from a teacher. There are also videos on tasks that need to be completed that I'm going to allude to in this video. Those include things like requesting a transcript using your Naviance student account and setting up a common application account and completing in your common application account what is called the FERPA Waiver authorization, and also matching your common application account to your Naviance student account. So just keep in mind, while I will mention some of those tasks that need to be completed, I won't show them in this video, but students within their Family Connection accounts can always scroll down to this area to see the link for help videos for seniors. We'll compile all our help videos for the college application process there. They can also access the different pages, including ones not shown on the screen that you can expand by clicking on View All for My School. And then, you can access all the pages that include written instructions and also videos for different tasks that seniors need to complete. So in terms of a guidance counselor recommendation, any student who needs one during the college application process or who requests one will get one from his or her guidance counselor. But in order to write robust letters of recommendation, we do ask the students to complete a few forms that will help us when writing. Couple things about logistics related to guidance counselor letters of recommendation. We ask that you give guidance counselors a minimum of 2 weeks notice of your deadline for your application. So if you've seen the video about requesting transcripts, we mentioned this 2-week lead time for transcripts, and that certainly holds true for letters of recommendation too. So when a student's gearing up for their earliest deadline that's going to occur, they want to be turning in all required forms, and which is basically how they request a letter from their guidance counselor, by handing in the forms. So they want to be doing that at least 2 weeks before their earliest deadline. And then as they make subsequent transcript requests for schools with later deadlines, they can make those requests at least 2 weeks before, but it's not like they have to refill out any recommendation forms, because they'll do those once. We will have the letter done, and it actually is a bit quicker and easier to get out subsequent letters and transcripts after that initial deadline has passed. What I mean by that is the student's earliest deadline. So just a couple notes on that. In terms of what is required from the student for a guidance counselor to write a letter on his or her behalf, I'm going to scroll down using this demo Naviance student account, and I'm going to access this pages area. In particular, I'm going to go to what we call the guidance department procedures page. And I'm just going to scroll down to the section where it talks about a guidance counselor letter of recommendation. So there are two forms that are mandatory for a guidance counselor to be able to write a letter of recommendation for a student. That is what we call the student questionnaire, listed here first. And you'll see that it's listed as mandatory. And the second one is what we call the student activity sheet, listed second. And that is also listed as mandatory. We do color code our sheets just to make them easier to refer to. So when we give these out in physical form, the student questionnaire is yellow and the student activity is pink. So the yellow and pink sheets are mandatory. And I'm going to show you an example of those and also where a student can complete them online. So students should complete those to the best of their ability. They want to be thorough. Although on the student questionnaire, if there are questions the student can't answer or they don't feel the question applies to them, they can certainly skip it. They want to give those to their guidance counselor. And really, once they've given those to their guidance counselor, um, the guidance counselor will be able to put them into a queue to have a letter written. Now, there are some other forms that students can submit. There is what's called the parent questionnaire for guidance recommendation. We call that the blue sheet. This is optional, but this one would actually be completed by a parent or guardian, and it could be given to the student, and the student could give it to the guidance counselor. So that one's optional, but certainly welcome. There is one other sheet that we don't use often, but we want to at least note that it is available. And that is this fourth one called Teacher Evaluation for Guidance Counselor Recommendation. So, or again, color coded, so the green sheet. This one is only used a few times a year by students. This would be if the student has, say, two teachers already writing a letter of recommendation for them, and they, don't want to send too many letters to a school. But let's just, for example, say they have a faculty member here at the high school who maybe they haven't even had in class, but that faculty member has served as an advisor for a club that the students are involved in. So while they're not going to ask that person for a full recommendation, perhaps it's an activity that was important to the student and they want some words from the teacher to make their way into what I'll call the application packet. Well, they could give this green sheet to the teacher. The teacher would then return it to the student's guidance counselor, and then the guidance counselor could use it to help write his or her letter of recommendation. So they might include a quote or just some general information from that person. So, again, not mandatory, but when needed, it can be those can be utilized. In terms of where to sort of get these forms, we do usually give students a physical copy when we visit their social studies classes at the beginning of senior year to hold our guidance seminars. Also, we typically share a Google folder near the beginning of students' senior year. The Google folder includes forms that they need, written instructions for completing a variety of tasks, and just a bunch of also helpful documents that students can, sort of access anytime, anywhere because they are in the students' Google Drive. So that is two places really, the Google folder and um, by the handouts we give them that students can access the forms. Um, Students can also access them from here in their Naviance student account. If a student goes, I'm back to the home page here. So if a student goes to what is called the document resources toward the bottom of the home page, there are a bunch of different documents that a student can download in here. And if they find the category for letters of recommendation form, they can go into here and you'll see that they can actually download a PDF of the sheets. Pink sheet, there's the blue sheet, yellow sheet, green sheet or green form, and the beige one, which is actually for teacher letters of recommendation, which we're not going to get into detail about in this video. So they can always download them from in here because they're not going to print on, pink paper or blue paper. When a student opens one of these, they would see right underneath the title, in parentheses, something like yellow sheet, just because we so often refer to them by the color of the form rather than the actual title. So also, if students wish, they can complete these online in their Naviance student accounts. So if the student goes to the About Me tab, and we can go to like the home page of About Me, they can look for on the left what is called surveys. And if they click on See All Surveys, here we have an activity sheet for guidance counselor recommendations. So that'd be the pink sheet. There's that blue sheet, so parents can log in and complete the blue sheet. I just clicked on that, and you can see parents can read the information up at the top and begin to fill it in the fields wherever applicable. And let me just go back to About Me, the home. Here's the yellow sheet. So you can see students can complete the yellow sheet, which is the student questionnaire, try and answer the questions to the best of their ability. Some are sort of yes/no type questions. Others are what I would call short open response questions. When a student finishes, they would just always want to make sure they either hit save and come back or save and finish. One really important note for students who decide to complete these in their Naviance student account is when they complete them, it's not as if the guidance counselor is going to receive an email or any other type of notification that this has been completed. So the student has to make sure that they tell their guidance counselor either via email or by coming to the guidance department that they have completed their forms and submitted them via Naviance student. That way, we can go in and look at them in either digital form or download them. But the student has to remember to notify us. Obviously, when they turn in physical forms, they're notifying us that they've completed them by giving them to us. So again, just a quick review for setting up a guidance counselor to be ready to write a letter of recommendation on your behalf. You're going to, at a minimum, turn in what we call the yellow sheet and the pink sheet, and then there is an optional blue sheet that parents and guardians can fill out if they would like. There's an optional green sheet for a teacher that the student may want to get a comment from for their guidance counselor. But again, that one is only used in certain circumstances, and a student can always talk to us about whether they would like to have someone complete the green sheet. Just another note is students then do not have to go into Naviance Student and request a letter from a guidance counselor in the same way that they do have to do that for teachers. If you've seen the video on requesting letters from teachers, you'll know that there is an area called letters of recommendation that a student enters and they make an actual request for the teacher. Guidance counselors are always able to submit a letter of recommendation on behalf of a student. It goes essentially as part of what I'm going to call a packet of documents that includes the student's transcript, what's called a school report form, where the student's GPA, et cetera, are reported from the school. So essentially, by making a transcript request in Naviance, and then also handing in the forms, the guidance counselor understands that when they're sending the transcript, they will, be sending that letter of recommendation also. We encourage students to meet with us. especially during Power Block in the fall of their senior year, and we can, you know, in one-on-one meetings, be discussing about what they need to hand in and what they need to complete in Naviance. So we hope this video is helpful, but certainly also um, take advantage of opportunities to ask us questions and meet with us. That's why we're here. Thank you. And again, with questions, please contact your guidance counselor.